Welcome everyone to the Coding Cleverly podcast. I'm here with a new episode and with a very special, talented individual from Austin, Texas named Hussam. And he has a boatload of experience he would love to share, and I'm honored to have him in the podcast. Sam, a quick introduction in 30 seconds. Who is Hussam?
Sure. Yeah. Nice to be on here, Harris. I so far the content you've been putting out with different guests has been incredible, and I hope very useful for your audience. So, inshallah, I can bring whatever segments I can from my past.
Definitely.
As far as my background, yeah, my name is Hussam. I'm born and raised here in Austin,
Hmm.
so been able to grow, alhamdulillah, with the Austin community.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, we've had a lot of change in the community, and the kind of from the tech side of things, I've been able to kind of grow and expand on that sort of thing as well. So hopefully, I can come and share a little bit about my background.
Were you always a tech-oriented guy, or you had some other backgrounds in the past?
Yeah, I'd say generally, kind of come from a family more on the engineering side of things. There's like sometimes like family of doctors, family of lawyers. Like my family's kind of family of engineers.
Okay.
So growing up, I always was into not just computers, but
Mm.
funny enough, like during my kind of childhood years, or I guess more middle school,
Hmm.
I used to dive into like calculator programming.
Okay.
So I used to have this TI-84. It's a graphing calculator. I think many U.S. students will be very familiar with it.
There's one called Casio.
Casio. I feel like was more international. Like my mom growing up, apparently she used Casio,
I used a Casio
but
too. Okay.
yeah, here in the U.S., Texas Instruments kind of has a chokehold on the graphing calculator market, but it's a great product. But
Okay.
anyway, one of the kind of cool things about it is it had this programming section. It's
Okay.
called TI Basic. It was similar to Basic, but you can write programs that take like input and output. And so one of the things I would do was, when we were learning like quadratic formula and like Pythagorean theorem
Oh
and
yes.
stuff like that, like instead of memorizing them, I would actually like write a program to see like, oh, what is like Pythagorean theorem? Like what's A, what's B? And then you just put in the numbers and it would spit out like what the third side of the triangle is,
So it's kind of
or
like a
or solve like an equation.
formula calculator, and you had the variables. You put in the values, and it would just solve the answer for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that
Uh,
was
that's a nice
it's
calculator, man.
well, yeah, I mean the programming was pretty fairly simple to write, which was
Ah,
a great like kind of intro, and I guess that's why it's called basic.
yeah.
But it became a little bit popular among some of the others. Some of my friends wanted to do it as well. So that was, I guess, maybe my first dive into programming.
Sounds good. In terms of like your backstory, if your hobbies or things like that, what was the sort of nature that you used to do back in your childhood, early days, before you went to your journey through UT Austin and then now at Coinbase?
Sure. Yeah. So I would say, I guess like it hasn't only been tech. I grew up like in terms of extracurricular like sports kind of things. Um, I was fortunate actually. My dad got me into kung fu of all things. So I did that for some time. And rose through the belts pretty quickly,
Okay.
which was a lot of fun. But at the same time, kung fu is interesting because I don't think you should get into a martial arts for actual like self-defense
Yeah.
as much.
Yeah.
I think it's more like an art form or like a sport, you know?
Fitness, like a yoga thing,
There is Tai Chi in Kung Fu that could be considered like kind of yoga thing. But yeah, I mean fitness, discipline, like, you know,
kind of
that
like
kind of
gym,
thing.
like gym.
Yeah, sort of. More structured gym
Okay.
with like tests and like certain like curriculum you have to do. But I would not I I don't think any armed robber is going to be intimidated by your kung fu skills here, at least here in the U.S. Maybe that's more common.
Yeah, it's
Not
crazy.
sure.
I mean that's a great activity, and I also do the side like I know as like engineers ourselves, we mostly spend most of our time on a computer screen typing, things and logic from our mind. But having the time to exercise, go out, walk around, get a coffee break or go to the gym, yoga mats, and doing stuff like this, kung fu and stuff is a great energy recharger.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I think it's important to have a balance. Now, I'm not saying I do it currently, but it was a fun kind of, non-tech thing growing up that I did.
Favorite like video game as a kid? Were you into like video games or things like that?
Yes, yes. I did like video games. I mean, I kind of still do like them. I was fortunate enough to be exposed to starting with the PS2 and then the Xbox original and then the 360. So, I also had a Game Boy was really fun.
Uh,
That was
okay.
only a Nintendo that I had, but that was really fun. I got into like racing games and like simulator type stuff
It's
on
good
there.
you went into all the, platform providers. My backstory is like I was stuck with Nintendo and I was with the Nintendo, so I didn't get the whole experience like how you got Xbox and you got PlayStation and got Nintendo too.
I think part of it was my uncle was a little. I mean, my uncle was like, when I was a kid, he was like early 20s or teens.
Okay.
So he was just phasing out of like the consoles. So I got to inherit some of the 360 was mine, but the PS2 and the Xbox original,
Okay.
I was able to mooch off of his game library, which was
Very
very fun.
lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember that. I mean, when the Connect came out, Xbox 360 Connect, I think that was like mind blowing for me. Looking at a
Mm.
thing that you can just have a camera and then you could just motion detect how your hand is moving and then the player used to move accordingly. I don't know if it was that successful, but the concept itself was just incredible.
Yeah, I think it had a lot of potential. Maybe you could say it was ahead of its time. Maybe the hardware was limiting it. Maybe the games were limiting it. But I think it was, yeah. I mean, it was definitely way out there for its time.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go into Coinbase and encryption engineering, like what you're doing at the moment. What does your role in, how does your role be involved within Coinbase, and when did you start this? You just recently joined or something?
Yeah, yeah. So I joined, I guess, a month ago at this point. I switched from a previous experience developing Quai network, which we can go into as well potentially.
Mm,
So technically, within Coinbase, it's kind of it's a very separate like team slash division. Like maybe you could call it like I don't know if you've heard like Skunkworks, like very small like startup kind of thing.
okay,
And actually, the division was acquired by Coinbase, so it still operates individually. So it's very interesting because you kind of get the best of both worlds, as in you get the startup like culture, which I really enjoy, and my previous experience was startup, and I had some startup experience in high school as well.
love that.
Um, but you have the backing of a large company, and so some things like are better about that in terms of some higher level processes. HR is very organized. You don't have all of the downsides, as well as the fact that you have the backing even financially. Worst case, it's a very volatile market, especially like kind of cryptocurrency in general.
Yeah,
So it's good to have that backstop. Like you can wait, you can if you're doing really good work,
yeah.
like you don't have to be taken out by like a market downturn. You can still be working and then be prepared for when the next thing comes around.
And I love the startup ecosystem where you kind of pick in and start kicking and learning something, and seeing the modern trends of technology. Whereas maybe in a corporate job, you're not that exposed to things that are, evolving in the modern stage of technology, and you're like so hyped about new AI agents and MCP servers and stuff like that. Well, you can't do that all in Charles Schwab or some other company because they're so limited to their technology stack and their governance policies and stuff like that. So, that's their um, in terms of can you describe like a project or system like you've worked on currently, or an overview on a higher level of it?
Yeah, sure. So like my main or the main purpose of this like kind of team is to do like non-custodial storage is what it's called. So if you think of like a bank, right? What a
Mm,
bank does is they actually hold your money.
yeah.
So you deposit, they are. technically what you get is an IOU that you actually get you get a liability from, or no, sorry, you give them a liability and they give you like the promise that you can withdraw this amount of money at some point, and even then that's subject to exclusions. So they are custodying it, they are holding it. If they get hacked or something, um, they can lose your money, very simply. Of course they can reverse it given this financial system.
But it's
That's
not
in contrast.
FDIC insured, right? There's no like.
Well, that's why FDIC exists, because the whole point is that banks can go out of business or lose your money or something. So that's why the government has to step in, or not has to, but the government steps in to backstop that. But the fact that that is a possibility at all is not necessarily required. So that's where non-custodial storage comes in. Non-custodial storage is kind of like, this is, our lawyer would be maybe upset at this analogy, but very simply, like an example I think of it like is, if I say, Harris, I need to store this amount of gold or jewelry, okay, and I want to store it at your house, and you run the service, like it's at your house kind of. However, I'm going to put it in a safe at your house, and the safe, like, imagine this hypothetical scenario. There is no way for this safe to get like physically removed or broken into.
And I can't
Well,
access the safe either. I don't know the password.
exactly. You cannot access the safe. And so that means that even if somebody, you're taking a stroll outside of your house, and there's a criminal that's like, oh, Harris really, he has all these assets. Let me go ahead and ask him nicely. Can you let me into these safes? You'd be like, no, I literally, like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the code is. That's kind of what non-custodial storage is. And
Hmm.
it has a lot of, obviously, security benefits, yeah, from like liability perspective, as well as just like, I think it's a better system. Of course, it's less convenient, right? Because now, if I want to access it, like, I have to, you have to set up a system where like you can still open it on my permission or my request,
Yeah.
but without you seeing like the actual keys. And you can achieve that with cryptography pretty easily, which you can't do like in the real world.
But in terms of like what you're saying, I own the thing and it's in the safe is in my house. But does it really mean my decision is like I want to keep it? Can I just like take it out of the house? Is that possible?
No, for the purpose of this analogy, you can't take it out of the house without me. Like, imagine your house is a bank vault. You're not going to be moving that, or it's underground or something. Like, imagine it's a permanent thing for the
Immovable
sake of this
object
analogy.
and stuck inside the house and it cannot be replaced and you cannot even access it. So that's what you're talking about.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And of course, in real life, like, yeah, you could drill through it, take you some hours, something. Mathematically, that's impossible, in my analogy. So there's some some differences, but essentially you are taking on, and I'm paying you for that privilege of storing it at your house.
Okay. Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
good. And this is like a whole like concept of like when someone earns, let's suppose, has a Bitcoin in their wallet, you cannot see anything, right? People, I don't know, there's a lot of people saying, okay, this is different than gold because gold you have an asset you can hold and everything. You can see how much weight it is and you can tell how pure it is. Now, crypto, it's just on the top of our minds. Like I have one Bitcoin, that's the value of it. And you say that there's some kind of agency or MOU, correct me if I'm wrong, but the bank basically has to give you the money or there's some document signing whenever you want to exchange or withdraw them out, right?
So that's in the custodial case. That's not the default. The default, if you just want to own a Bitcoin, the true default is you would mine it, you would create it yourself, and that's a mathematical process. It's not complicated at all. You click some buttons, but it will take time and energy and money to create. But if you don't want to do that and you want to buy it from someone who's already created it,
Yeah,
then you can either pay them, with cash. You can find an individual,
yeah.
or you could go to an exchange like Coinbase, and then buy it. And then here's the key: if you buy it on Coinbase, like, this is why we're a separate like thing, because Coinbase itself is an entirely custodial solution. It's closer to a bank in terms of they by default they custody it. So when you make an account on Coinbase and you deposit your US dollars and you buy a Bitcoin, they are holding it, and they have insurance against hacking, because if they get hacked, which many other exchanges have gotten hacked, so if they do, then they have insurance to protect you. But that's because they can get hacked. Now our thing, it's targeted at a totally different clientele and different market, and we can go into why those people prefer our product. But if you know, that's using our product is different from if you were to buy it on Coinbase proper.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, and there's different platforms like Binance, and I know there were so many
Yeah,
others. So Coinbase
yeah,
is another one of them.
yeah. Yeah, and so one last thing too. If you do buy it on Coinbase, you can withdraw it to your own wallet, and then there's no like signing of. There's no document. There's no way. The only way for it to get lost is if you lose it. You lose your
Passkey,
yeah, your seed
passphrase.
phrase,
Yeah,
which is kind of like a password,
bunch of
right? But
words. Yeah,
then yeah, but then you don't. There's no way for if you lose it, it's your fault at that point. There's no
exactly.
one else that is you're trusting to hold your coins.
Right. And do you think this is like the future of currency for the world economy wise? Is this suitable? Or do you think we're gonna, at the end of the day, one time go back to the Stone Age period? You can say so, where we're back with gold, we're back with silver, and we're back with those type of stuff.
Um, Those are two very big questions. The first one, I would say, will be more of a hybrid approach. There's always a segment of the population, maybe it's the majority, who don't want the responsibility of managing their own assets, which kind of makes sense, right? Like, actually, like that's literally our product, which is we offer like a more secure solution for people who still don't want to be responsible for it. And here's why: because if you are responsible for your assets, unless you're always keeping up to date with like the newest security trends and like the newest like security protocols and practices, then you're actually more at risk than a professional. So there's always a use case for like um, you know uh, currency that is like self-managed.
Mm.
However, as far as currency that is like, yeah, like government or bank managed, and this leads into your second question. I mean, I don't know how long this is a unprecedented experiment in terms of printing unlimited money, and having everyone just be cool with it.
Hmm.
Um, Everyone said it wasn't possible, it couldn't be done, it'll collapse. People have been saying that every 5, 10 years, and for very good reason. There are always signs that like it's right around the corner, but at the same time, who are the people that are let's say responsible for managing this current system, they always find a way to kick the can down the road a little bit longer. Who knows if that's indefinite?
Yeah,
I don't think it's indefinite, but is it beyond our lifetime? It's been beyond many
lifetimes.
people's lifetimes,
Right.
right? So we can't. It's hard. It's a risky thing to bet on, financial collapse, because what does Warren Buffett say? The market can remain irrational much longer than you can remain solvent. So um, that's how I see things, and that is where like something like cryptocurrency is much still much better than using gold or silver, because you can transact frictionlessly, pretty much.
Okay. There's a limited number of Bitcoin, I guess, in the world. Something like 19 million, right? That's the amount of Bitcoin. Something there. Is there a possibility now you can mine more now?
So yeah, the maximum supply of Bitcoin you could ever be mined is 21 million. I
Okay.
think 19 million is closer to the amount that already has been mined. Um, so no, unless Bitcoin changes, it's impossible to mine more than 21 million Bitcoin. But certainly, if it gets to that point, it's all like consensus based. It's all based on the participants of the network. So if people all like decide to change it, they can change it.
Right. And can a normal person, in his house with his, RTX 1050 Ti, can he mine a Bitcoin at his house or backyard?
Uh, no, basically not with that. You for Bitcoin, and we're only talking about Bitcoin here, so my answer is only related to Bitcoin.
Hmm.
But in Bitcoin's case, no, basically, I mean, you can technically you can, but it's like trying to, I don't know, like pick find the needle in like the Sahara Desert one by one. You know, it's very slow.
Or
You can
versing
do it with
100
you.
elephants with one man.
Sure, yeah. You could do it with you can do it by hand. So it doesn't matter what the tool is, you can do it.
Mm.
And people have actually done the entire like one single hash by hand.
Oh my God.
But it's not that you can't do it, but it's impractical. You will never in like a million years finish a Bitcoin. Now, minor thing, there is reasonable to mine with if you have the specialized hardware, which makes it much more efficient. You still will not likely mine a whole Bitcoin, but then you can join something called a mining pool where you and millions of other people collectively mine and then get a share of the profits. So then you don't have to like mine an entire Bitcoin, which may take you 100 years until, and then you get like whatever the price of Bitcoin is at the time. You can mine in a pool and you'll get a percentage of whatever your effort was.
I don't know why it feels like a game, but it's kind of like a website where you can like find a group of people and then you could tag in and then whatever you mind, your portion is that, and my percentage is like 33, and so I get that. So is it some sort of website you go into, or how is this whole thing done?
Yeah, I mean, there's multi-billion dollar market cap pools out there and mining companies out there. So it's not like a small website that you have to coordinate. It's literally like you go to the website, they make it very easy to like install the software, and then you once you start mining, your computer like automatically verifies to them how much work you're doing,
Okay.
and they're recording it. You're like you did this amount of hashes,
Hmm.
then they find a Bitcoin, which is very common because so many people are doing it. It's like millions of people
Yeah.
that they find a Bitcoin once every like I don't know a few days or a few hours maybe.
Right.
So then you get a share of that.
Also, like you were mentioning, other cryptocurrencies, people are making their own as well. It's crazy, and also like you can also mine your own too. I mean, there's other types like not just Bitcoin, but others that people can just mine on their own in their houses. So, any
Yeah,
idea on that?
yeah. So there's like three. Well, okay. There's like kind of things to clarify there, which is one is well, yeah, you can certainly make your own, and that is what we were doing at Quai Network for. I was there for about 2.5 years. I joined like kind of like getting started in terms of the coding aspect. Actually, joined exactly when we were getting started. And 2.5 years later is like when we felt ready to launch. So that's like one, like we were really like building one. Now, what you can do is you can launch a token. A token, you don't have to do any engineering work to launch that. You
Mm.
literally can click some buttons. And that's because it's running on an existing chain. You're not creating your own chain, you're creating a token on top of a chain. So there's a big difference in the usefulness, the amount of effort required, what the goal is in either case. So, and as far as your second thing, you can most of the chains, and I'm talking about chains now because tokens are trivial. Like literally, you just click a button and you launch a token. So I'm talking only about chains. And most chains in the past like few years have been something called proof of stake, which has no mining at all. Um, so that though you don't even need to mine to get coins or tokens on a chain anymore. But there are some big benefits to why like so ours, for example, ours did require mining or does require mining. And there's some big reasons like why and some major benefits, but for whatever reason, there are a lot of chains that are launching without the need for mining.
Are tokens the same as, I mean, tokens can have value and they can be sold, bought the same as how cryptocurrencies do?
Yeah, basically. You can build there's like two types of tokens. There's like the main native token, like the ones you hear about, like Ethereum, Solana. Those are native tokens. And then there are tokens on top of those, which are like meme coins. It's very common.
Dogecoin.
Um, Actually, Doge is both a native and a meme coin.
Okay.
So Doge is mining. Like you can mine Doge by itself.
Wow.
It's its own whole like network. It's actually not a token um, on top of anything. But Shiba Inu, for example, that's the Ethereum version of Dogecoin.
Okay.
That's a token. That's on Ethereum.
Okay.
So
And Trump coin, I think there was one.
yes, exactly. Trump coin is on Solana. That is a token. It's not like they didn't build a blockchain for Trump coin, right?
Okay. Okay. And they have some spike events, and when it's the value gets a little high, and then people start investing, and then the trend starts dying out for all these type of meme events. It's kind of like events for me. I don't know why, but
Mm,
maybe those traditional currencies, like how they already solidified their standards, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, the ones on the top, are they more like recognized as safer currencies to buy? I know this video is not
mm-hmm.
encouraged for those
Yeah.
to just start, investing all their money into this. But
No, no, no.
yeah,
Please. Um, uh, I can't like we can't talk about like safer by itself, but what's the thing that provides the like what people really care about is actually like volatility, I would say. So they don't want like I mean, unless they know what they're getting into.
yeah,
Generally, they don't want like the token to be able to just crash to zero
hmm,
overnight. Or,
yeah,
I mean, I think they would be happy if it went up to a million percent, but
yeah,
whatever. That's if you're storing significant amounts of money, that's not just risk taking,
mm,
then that's not what they're looking for. And the way you measure that is really honestly the market cap is like the biggest thing
mm,
because once the market cap like the bigger the market cap is the harder the price is to change.
mm,
So Bitcoin like moves relatively slowly compared to Ethereum, which is second, compared to Solana, and you go down that chain. The more you go down in market cap, the more the chance is for it to go up or down. So maybe that's what people mean by safety.
okay. So meaning slowly, meaning like Bitcoin is slow in terms of volatility?
Uh, in terms of price volatility, yes, but it's also slow generally. That's not. I didn't like intend to to add that factor, but yes, Bitcoin's also happens to be very slow. That has nothing to do with the price though.
Right. Yeah. I mean, makes sense. Makes sense. Um, I mean, there's so much theory behind this, and there's so much fascinating things. And well, let's just go a little bit of on cryptography, and then just like dive into that. What's your favorite cryptographic concept to work with, like in general?
Honestly, two things. I was going to say proof of work is like the most fascinating. Like, it's just really, it's mind blowing. Just like how you can coordinate things. Like, it doesn't matter like even where you are like in the universe. Like, if you wanted to have like a currency that worked on Mars and Earth and the Moon and Jupiter, then proof of work is literally the only way to do it because you're building on a shared like base or substrate of like reality, which is the expenditure of energy or entropy. That's one thing. But maybe like I think more practical or useful. I think that's like really, really, really cool. But maybe more like practical and useful is public-private key cryptography or asymmetric cryptography. Those are the same thing basically, and that allows you to like send. That allows like me and you to like send a message, and for the first time in like history, like we can send a message and there's literally no possible way for anyone else to read that message except for you and me. And I can send it via carrier pigeon. Like people can intercept it. Oh, not only can no one read it, but no one can change it. So if somebody changes it, like I will know that it was not you who wrote it. Obviously, assuming no, like all of the security falls on the keys that we keep private. So if somebody gets either of our keys, then yes, whoever has our keys can read it.
Yeah.
But you can see with end-to-end encryption becoming very popular and prolific in everything from like WhatsApp to even iMessage has it now by default. Obviously, Signal, Telegram actually does not have it by default.
It doesn't. Okay.
Don't no, Telegram's not at all. Telegram's very insecure, but
And then the funny thing is
Signal
like,
is.
yeah, and you're mentioning all these messaging apps. Telegram for some reason feels a little bit more of the a place where a lot of the scammers seem to start messaging you. And in a lot of you talk about cryptocurrency, it's there's notorious things about it, like where it's a scam marketplace. So,
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
you've realized that, right? As being one of those
Yep.
engineers, and you've been studying this. Why is it so attracted to these these phishing and
Yeah.
scammers?
Yeah. I think so. I think the Telegram aspect is just regional. Telegram comes from like from Russia, and maybe maybe that has partially to do with it. Nothing against Russia, to be honest, Russian
Yeah,
people,
I mean that's a really cool
but
app. Yeah.
yeah, but I think maybe that's why, just because it became popular there and then came to the US versus like the opposite.
Hmm.
But as far as in general, yeah, for crypto, I think it has to do with the finality aspect of it. Like once the money is gone, it's cannot be recovered. Unlike a bank, right? Like, a bank can freeze a payment, or I think wires, I'm not sure if they can, but like within a country, like ACH in the US or like Interac, within a country, it can. Um, it's actually why a lot of criminals use wires, or scammers try to use wires to like go to a different country. So it's not like perfectly safe either. They can still do it.
Mm.
But with crypto, there's like just no way. And the other thing is that obviously, like the banking system is incredibly, uh, we could say regulated. We can also say surveilled.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a lot of drawbacks to that, but
Hmm.
there's also the benefit that it can sometimes help against scammers. But lest you get too confident, good luck trying to talk to your local sheriff
Yeah.
to freeze an international bank transfer. It's not going to happen. But like in theory, it can be a little bit harder to do on traditional banking systems.
Okay. Interesting. And in terms of like cryptography in general, like what real world problems does encryption solve at Coinbase right now?
I would say international settlements is really good.
Hmm.
Um, this is something that, like, unfortunately, like within the traditional system, people get taken advantage of all the time by incredibly high fees, theft, um, poor service. I can't call out like a specific company, but
Mm.
just for like this, you know, the companies that generally like operate in this area, things like Western Union or MoneyGram, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Again, I haven't used them, but there are also like scammers who take advantage of that, and
I
so
have
people
used it.
will.
I have used it, and I feel like they're pretty old now in terms of standard, whereas Western Union and these type of companies were there for a long time. Now there's digital wallets where you can basically have TransferWise. Then there's a one called Remitly, which is very popular in sending
Mm,
transactions. And now it's become very, very efficient, easy, and like it's quick. So
that's awesome.
yeah.
So I will say, at least I can speak from my home country. I guess it's of Algeria. I don't know if those are super popular, but what has become popular has been crypto for this. So literally, like all the time, like people, if they want to send money like back home and stuff, not that crypto is used there, but it's the way to move things internationally
Hmm.
without fees. I mean, you could just send USDT or USDC from your Coinbase here to someone there, and then somebody they'll there's like a kind of a marketplace there where they can just then exchange it for the home currency.
That's good.
Um, so those kinds of things, maybe where like Remitly or TransferWise have not broken into, it's super good. And regardless, it will always be cheaper than those services, because the fees to send something is like less than $1, and critically, it's not a percentage. It's just a flat fee. So you could send $1 million on Ethereum, and it will take 13 seconds, within between 10 and 15 seconds, and it's done, and it will cost you less than $1. But if you send it via any traditional method, it's going to always be a percentage fee plus flat
Oh
fee
my God.
plus maybe it takes time, at
Plus,
least for Western Union it takes time.
plus the exchange rate might be bad too.
Yeah, yeah.
USDT, and they have lower transactions. I know there's a platform called Payoneer, And when I was like freelancing back in Pakistan, so that was one of the options we had as, a digital wallet where we can withdraw our funds from Fiverr or Upwork. And
Mm,
their exchange rate was terrible. As if you look at the dollar rate on Google, would be like $280 for one. So basically 280 PKR Pakistani rupees for $1. On platforms like Payoneer, you would see it for like 250. So they're taking too much commission out of that platform
that's
itself.
one thing. Yes. And sometimes, so that sounds like even like just too egregious, but sometimes it's not even up to the processor. Like it's not even them that's getting the money. It's actually the government that sets an artificial exchange rate for importing versus exporting
Hmm.
dollars. So what that means is like if you have your funds on one of those like kind of financial services, it's not like you can get a competitive market rate. It's literally set by the government, which tells the banks what they can do.
Right.
But if you send via crypto, like you have a free there's like a marketplace you go to. It's a free market of exchange rates. So
Yeah.
it's like actually it's like a it's literally like it sets the exchange rate because that is what people look towards to see like what is the real value of this currency for dollars. It's not what the banks tell you it is.
Right. Do you know the term post-quantum cryptography?
Yes,
What's your
it's a
opinion on it?
big piece of research.
Yeah. What's the opinion
Um,
on the rise of it?
yeah, so certainly a lot of the algorithms that we rely on for initial, so we actually the way like really like encryption kind of works for most people. When you go to a website, you go to wellsfargo.com, you see that lock icon. That's doing two types of cryptography. The first one is called asymmetric, which we discussed earlier, and then it shares a key to use symmetric cryptography. Those are very different uh, things, and as it relates to post quantum, it's the asymmetric one that's a lot more vulnerable to quantum attacks, and the symmetric one is pretty much not really vulnerable at all.
Okay.
So it's not like everything's going to break immediately. Like
Mm,
the core, like it's reliant on two paths.
mm.
So that's one thing. Second thing is even with quantum, it's not like you just turn on a switch and immediately like you've broken the encryption. Number one, you need a lot of what's called qubits. You need a big quantum computer. It also still takes a lot of time and energy to crack it. It's not like you can just, it's not a oh you just use a bolt cutter to break the lock, right? It's still like a blowtorch. It's like a blowtorch instead of like a pickaxe or something trying to get into a
Oh,
safe.
okay.
So it's faster, but it's not like immediate.
It's not. It's not.
Um,
It's not like the breakthrough. Like You did it.
yeah, yeah, and the other thing on top of that is what that means is that you can just keep like making the keys longer and longer and longer. Now that's not scalable. Like that's not the solution. But like if somebody were to break quantum, like use quantum to break something, like for some time, like we can still just use longer keys while we figure out a real solution. And there are real solutions that are very viable too. I think they're getting standardized like right about now.
Hmm.
So it's like it's in the pipeline, and scientists, researchers, engineers are working on it. They've already implemented a lot of references. It just needs to get adopted a little bit more. So I'm not super worried about it. As far as big, like crypto, like private keys and stuff,
Mm,
that one's a little bit trickier because you can't do an upgrade unless everybody agrees to change.
mm.
So, you may have like one version of Bitcoin that's like vulnerable to it, and like people have upgraded to the stronger version. There's been no evidence. But at the same time, two small things. Number one problem you have to be very worried about is that governments or people who have access to potential quantum computers can just save all of the data that's currently encrypted and just store it for a later date when they're able to break it. So something that you may think is private now is likely, to be honest, like likely stored in some data center in Utah or something that's just sitting there. And if they ever have a file on you that they want to like see like what was going on, now it's safe. But in the future, they'll just use quantum to break open this packet.
Oh, okay, cool. This is fascinating. And then you can see, I mean, you saw you know the term RSA. Yeah, I'm a software engineering major, so we learned this when we introduced ourselves to cryptography and encryption in general. So public key crypto system, right, that relies on mathematical properties like prime numbers. So do you think we are still relying heavily on RSA, and it's a masterpiece. It's beautifully how it's created, and it just when I was studying it, the theory and all, it just kind of excites me, like how mathematics plays a big role into security.
Yeah, I mean, we still use RSA a lot. There's newer versions. One of them is called ECDSA or ED 25519.
Hmm.
Those are more secure in terms of you can use shorter keys to get the same or more security. So then if you're going to use a longer key, you can get way more security,
Yeah.
compared to RSA, which is beneficial because like I said, when you every time you go to a website, you see that lock icon, it's transferring those public keys. So the longer they are, the longer it takes to transfer, the more data it uses, it's slower. So there are new versions, they're very widespread. I still think a lot of places still use RSA, but it's been like at least 10 years at this point that the newer versions have been like widely adopted. So if there's anyone still using RSA, like it's just because they haven't upgraded.
Hmm. Yeah, and the locks that you're mentioning on a website, it says like one is what we learned was SSL certificates, right?
Hmm.
With HTTPS hypertext transfer protocol secure um, as one of the metrics of it, and then the other one is where your keys are being stored and how long they are, and how they're being transferred from source to destination and back and forth, right? To just authenticate properly for a user.
Yeah, like RSA is like the kind of style of like, this encryption, but there's like newer versions, as I said, there's different keys. You can have longer RSA keys or shorter keys, or that's just the implementation is can vary versus like the algorithm itself.
Yeah. Yep. Any career advice or learning points from you? What helped you like stand out when applying to places like, you've done an intern at Meta, you were an intern at Meta too. So what are these things that can help you stand out when you're applying to big jobs like Coinbase and companies like this?
Yeah, I think one thing that's important is try to have like try to do as much kind of outside of your school or curriculum as you can, whether it's projects or if you have a cool idea, like you can go ahead and like just kind of start a startup and try to expand beyond your boundaries because that's the only way you'll stand out.
Okay.
You can stand out by um, having like some kind of passion or something that you can talk about in the interview, and a lot of the times like maybe one of your interviewers like also shares that passion, and so you can um not only obviously you can connect on a personal level, but even from a like strictly like technical perspective, like they can interrogate like, are you really like serious about like what you say,
Hmm.
or because that's something they share a deep understanding with, and so they can judge whether you do too. And so if you claim something and you claim to know something, but you actually don't know it very deeply, like
Yeah.
that can also hurt you a lot.
Yeah.
The other thing is like if you're past that step and like you are recently started a new job or internship or something,
Yeah.
and internships kind of like they're so essential and useful,
Mm.
and they also like teach you how to like onboard very quickly, I would say, because you have 3 months to like onboard and do your project and like review it, complete it, and then present it.
Yeah.
Um, it's so like critical that you form as many like connections like within like the company or group or whatever, so that you can leverage like you can have people help you answer your questions. You can also help them when needed.
Hmm.
And recently, somebody shared this piece of wisdom that really like changed the way I think about things. as far as networking goes.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said that it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Okay.
And what that means is it's not about like having LinkedIn connections or meeting people like whatever, like after work or something. That's not like what matters at all. It's about who can recommend you and who knows you that can later become an asset like in your career journey. When you're applying to a new company and one of the people there was someone you worked with 15 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago and they can vouch for you, that is what I mean by they know you.
Okay.
It's not like, oh, you met them and they forgot you. So that's a very like I I think that was like when you said it, that was very insightful, and I'm trying to apply it as much as I can.
That's fascinating. And this is the gist of everything, right? Like if you build your, repertoire in a way, and you make yourself like stand out and you make references and connections, like people just see it from the way, like you think about like some certain task, like which is pretty difficult for maybe you or some others, and then you in your mind there's just that one person that you say, okay, that guy's a master in those kind of algorithms or data structures, and I totally recommend that guy. So
Yep.
I'm building a
You want to
cloud.
be you want to be the person where like in a gathering where you're not there and somebody asks like who can help with this, you want to be the name that comes up.
Yeah.
And that's like you building that like you said repertoire. It's I think people in this like LinkedIn culture like are just so like they I don't know, like they'll see like a speaker and then they'll never talk to them or ask a question or engage, but
Yeah.
like they want to have them as a connection for what? Like that's not what matters at all. It's
Absolutely.
very useless.
Yeah. What would you do differently if you were starting over today?
um I mean it's hard to say like hmm it's hard to it's not that I haven't made a lot of mistakes in the past.
Mm-hmm.
That's not why like I'm taking time to answer this question. I'm taking time to answer this question because there's a lot of things that like maybe don't feel or seem optimal at the time, but
Mm-hmm.
they are actually still like within your best interest like going forward, like in a roundabout way. I'll give you an example. So I did actually 3 internships at Meta,
Okay.
back to back, so 3 summers in a row.
So which means
And
333, 9 months in total.
yep, yep, 9 months in total at Meta. And the third one was so I mean not to like embellish or anything, but
No.
clearly if you're being re-invited back over and over,
Yeah.
that means you're doing a good job. That means that they
That's
like you and they're actually preferring you over like new candidates because they've interviewed new candidates and they see your value as more. So
oh,
that's generally a good sign.
that's good. Yeah, it makes sense.
So on the third one is when I was getting ready. I was finishing up my master's and I was getting ready to go full time. And the third one was when this huge like COVID. So there was like a COVID hiring boom in like 2021,
Okay.
and then a huge like COVID like hiring crisis in 2022, where so many, and you can look back at the news articles, like tens of thousands of engineers, like at each company, like Microsoft just lays off 10,000 engineers. Google does the same. Facebook, they lay off people, and what they also did was they froze completely all hiring. That means offers that were already on the table, offers that were going to be made, like no one was getting hired for at least I think 8 to 9 months while like the company was completely restructuring, downsizing, laying people off. So that was what the third internship and you know fell into.
Oh,
And at
okay.
the time, I was like, man, like this is unfortunate
Mm-hmm.
timing because also the fact that I was doing my master's, the first internship was out of my bachelor's. So if I had started then I would be already full time there.
Mm.
But um, that's like what it seems like at the time. But because of that, I mean, that forced me to kind of like re-engage into towards the end of my master's, like re-engage into trying to find like a different full-time opportunity. And that's actually when I ran into the co-founder of Quai, which was, my previous job, which was also like the straight out of college job. And I would say that was probably a lot more fulfilling than anything I could have gotten at Meta. Not only being a startup, but a blockchain startup, which is something I was already very interested in, something that like was mathematically like kind of intriguing as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't building not I enjoyed my time at Meta, but it's different. Like building like a new financial system versus working on API or like some like small thing that like maybe no one will ever like
Yeah,
use, right?
yeah,
Um, so I would say like the thing is like don't fall no if you get it's very cliche, but if you like get knocked down, like don't worry about don't worry about it too much and just
no,
try your best to like
get up.
there's always opportunities out there. Yeah, get up, continually like be improving your skill set, be open to things like that's the other thing is like things won't just come out of if things come out of nowhere, you have to be in the right place at the right time to be able to take advantage of them. And that's what it means to be like prepared, right?
Mm-hmm.
They say like luck is 50% opportunity, 50% preparedness. Because if the opportunity comes and you're not prepared to take advantage, then what's the use? There's no
Yeah,
point. Like it's as if there was no opportunity.
yeah,
So you have to always be ready, and that means like learning, increasing your network, meaning in a meaningful way, as we discussed, increasing like your knowledge, of course, your skill set, and becoming more of an asset. And maybe also if you're really like struggling for something in a long time, it doesn't mean give up on that, but it
mm-hmm.
means maybe look for something different to put all of your efforts into. So
Yeah,
if you're looking for a specific kind of like tech job
yeah,
and it's been like a long time and you really yourself, you've done your best, you've put in your efforts,
yeah,
um like what we were saying about like getting up after knockdown is not that you just keep doing the same thing over and over for the rest of your life. It means that okay, let's change your strategy,
yeah.
maybe look at continuing education,
Mm-hmm.
maybe look at anything, uh, for example, like you're pivoted more to AI. So like see what's needed out there and how you can be an asset. So those are things I would like recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I said, I think certainly like you can definitely make a lot of mistakes and still be okay in my case.
Beautiful. Let's go with some fun rapid fire questions. This is basically we're wrapping up the podcast, and it was great so far. Amazing to have so much, thoughts and experiences shared. You would prefer either Vim or VS Code?
Both actually. I use both. So in VS Code, I use a Vim plugin. So you can edit with Vim, and if you want even more than that, you can use something called NeoVim, which is no VS Code, but all of the features of VS Code in a Vim like style, which I used to use for a while as well.
Nice. Use most useless but fun tool you ever built.
Um, Useless and fun. Okay. I mean, okay. Actually, going back to the calculator one, I wrote a program that would display like a matrix numbers type thing, like
Yeah.
a lot of numbers like moving up and then like scrolling to the right. So basically, like imagine like 0, 1 through 9, and
Okay.
then the next line is like 1 through 0, and then it's like 2 through 1,
Like
like kind of
ASCII art,
shifted.
like ASCII art.
Yeah, sort of, but like shifting left and moving up.
Okay.
That was a very fun tool and very useless.
Nice. I used to make these type of tables, for when I was learning C++. So mathematical tables. I mean, it's like, write your first number and then the last number 1000, and then it would just start multiplying all of the numbers, just showing it in a table format. Seeing the the trick of programming, and then, I had like a password generator too, although it wasn't like so crazy as compared to how these are in the websites, but it was like, a string of characters where it mixes together, tells you how many you want to create, and then the number of characters you want on the password. And then you just put those two inputs and it would just create you a random password that you can use on a website.
Nice, yeah. That sounds less useless.
Yeah, I did actually use it a bit, but these days, I mean, you need passwords for everything, and it's just crazy. You just forget a lot of passwords these days. And in
Yeah.
terms of like security purposes, you know, you got to be very critical on, two-factor authentication and stuff like that, because I think the whole world now is on online. Their assets, their information, and we're just basically communicating online. We're buying online. We're doing everything online. Who knew this was going to be the future?
Yeah, I try to be very selective about things I commit to memory, as in I've tried to minimize as much as possible.
Right,
So that's why I like, you know, Bitwarden, OnePass, like those kind of password managers are very useful for someone like me.
right. If you weren't doing security or coding, right, what would you be doing?
Um, Depends on my situation. I mean, is it like I can do whatever am I like blessed enough to just do whatever I want?
Uh,
Is that the question, or is it like if it's just that these things didn't exist, like what would I be doing like
no, no,
today?
like your free time, after work and other things like that.
Ah,
Yeah.
so I'm pretty involved in the Austin like Muslim community. We have a lot of needs and a lot of things that that we can help with internally as well as even externally as well. So for example, external, there was people may be aware of the recent, by the time of this recording, floods in Kerr County in Texas.
Yes.
This is quite devastating. There's very unfortunate stories of children being swept away by floods,
Yeah.
people's houses being destroyed. So we were able to organize a lot of a lot of donations and work with some other organizations, some Muslim, some not, but like just because like we are of a certain faith like
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we shouldn't really get out there to try to help. So yeah, we organized those donations. We actually took them to Austin Disaster Relief Network, unloaded the trucks. I got to drive a forklift, which
Wow.
is very fun.
That's awesome.
Um, Even though I'm not forklift certified, so that was a lot of fun. Um,
GTA Vice City.
yeah, I got to go around and the turning radius, like by design, is very very small. So you're like basically if you turn all the way and you go fast, like you get pretty dizzy. Long story short, there's also like internal needs that we have. So like we're rebuilding one of our primary mosques, Nueces.
Yes.
If people don't want to donate, that's very needed as well because we're breaking ground at the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be very yeah, very good stuff. A lot of I mean, people have like young professionals have need for work. People
Mm-hmm.
need to get married. People have like there's a lot of needs in our community.
I'll definitely add these links in the description, and yeah, these are pretty amazing things that you and your community and the part of Austin is doing. Um, One thing people would be surprised to learn about you.
Um, hmm, I mean, I don't know what people already know or don't know to be surprised.
Yeah,
Uh, let's see.
you like book reading or any, I don't know,
Yeah,
storytelling, watching
yeah. You
films.
know, yeah. I wish I did more book reading. I feel like that fell off like very rapidly in college,
Uh,
with free time.
yeah.
That's something I'm trying to get back into. But I don't know. I actually I do like a lot of like outdoor stuff as much as possible within
Hmm.
this like Texas weather.
Yeah.
But we have I have like a, a app like pass like membership to the state parks and to the national parks, and actually just between like between when I left my previous job and started my new one, like
Yeah.
those 2 weeks, I was in Colorado and spent a lot of time with like family at the like national parks and stuff.
Awesome.
Very, very beautiful stuff.
Awesome. So you can just get a pass and then go anywhere you want in the whole country?
Yeah, for the national parks, yeah, in fact, I think if you visit one more than twice or three times, like it makes more sense to get the pass than
Right.
to get individual entries.
Yeah.
But dude, man, people need to take advantage of that because it's it's unbelievable, like the amount of beauty in this country.
Hmm.
Of course, every country has beauty, but like the amount of diversity in beauty is it's hard to match. Like it's
Unparalleled.
got yeah, really, really, and it's for now at least it's publicly available. We'll see.
Awesome. And I was like, watching Ryan Trahan. He's a YouTuber from Austin, and he's
Mm.
going 50 states in 50 days. And,
Oh
they're
well,
driving in a car, and they've already done like 49 states or something. And,
yeah,
driving in a car like an SUV or something like that. And it's crazy how the country is so big, and going from one place to other time sometimes takes 7 to 9 hours. And it's crazy how there's so much things to do, and there's nothing like you cannot like not explore. There's so much
yeah.
things like there's endless amount of land and just too much, especially in Texas in general too.
Yeah, well, we're very lucky that yeah, the land is mostly like it's there's a lot of places that are just the right amount of development that are like there's still enough infrastructure to like not get stranded in terms of like gas and stuff like that, but it's still like remote enough to have a lot of beauty. And I can agree with the driving. We actually did the drive from Colorado to Texas and back, or Texas to Colorado and back.
Yeah.
I think it was 18 hours. So yeah, maybe
Did you drive?
maybe Texas is a little bit too big.
Okay, awesome.
But yeah.
Were you the one driving 18 hours or
Yeah, well, I was with family,
oh, okay.
so we rotated, but I I did a lot of it.
Oh, okay. I did. I remember my first ever long drive was from here, Austin, to Houston, and it's like 3 hours, and I got so tired.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's the internal Texas driving is a little bit more tiring because of kind of how the same things are. Honestly, what I was saying about like the beauty of this country, you have to
yeah,
there's kind of have to leave Texas to see most of it.
right.
Um, Texas has a lot of, for our viewers, plains and flat areas
Flat
and
areas and cows and or grasslands.
cows. Yeah, grassland. It's not, there's like beautiful deserts,
Yeah,
but there's also, it's different when it's just like grassland and it's flat. It's like the
flat.
natural beauty is tough
Yeah,
sometimes.
awesome. This wraps up our podcast. It was beautiful. Discussing so many things with Hussam. I'd love to add his link in the description to this video. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the chats, in the comment sections. And thank you so much for your time, Sam. I'd love the experience with you.
Likewise, yeah. Thank you, Harris, for yeah, for inviting me here, and also for like the program that you set up in general.
Mm.
I think people will benefit a lot from it, and so yeah, I encourage people to, if they're watching this one and they've stuck around, to also check out your other work.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you.